everybody? It's your boy Chaz Pearson, and this is the Outlet Forum with my esteemed co-host Chris Camello. What up, Chris?
Hey, can you see me doing the Luca dance?
Boom.
You know,
Boom.
boom. You gotta
We are
spot me a little
back.
music, yeah.
We are back. Good to see everybody. Thank you for tapping into the Outlet Forum. We've missed you guys. We are back in full effect, talking everything, all things NBA, from Steve Kerr wanting a shortened season again to the Pistons pushing their win streak to 11 games. We'll get into the Draymond drama that always seems to follow him wherever he goes every season. But was it deserved this time? We'll get into that. And of course, we'll get into some of the injuries like Wemby and Giannis and Steph and Stephon Castle, and the list goes on for a bunch of players. I think that may play into a little bit of the reason why Steve Kerr wants this shortened season. But first, Chris, we got to start off with LeBron and the Lakers, because history was made yet again by LeBron. He's the first player to ever suit up for opening night of his 23rd consecutive season, and he helps the Lakers pass the Jazz. They have put up 140 on the Jazz to 126 in his season debut. Only scored 11 points, 12 assists. He was dishing that thing to DeAndre Ayton and everybody else on the court. Luka, not pictured here, but had 37 points, 10 assists, and the reason why the Lakers were able to power pass the Jazz. But also Austin Reeves, a quiet 28 points, doing his thing night in and night out, helping keep the Lakers afloat at 11 wins and only 4 losses. Chris, what do you make of this debut, and what does it mean for the squad moving forward now that LeBron is on the floor, and it looks like he may stay on the floor for quite some time? We'll see how that pans out. What do you think and make of it?
Yeah, he was solid last night, I got to say. I think we all kind of went in with some, I don't want to say trepidation, but maybe some little anxiety, because the team had been playing well. They had been finding different ways to win game. There was a clear pecking order with Luka and Austin Reeves. And LeBron is not just like a role player. It's not like adding Gabe Vincent back. No disrespect to Gabe, but it's an easier transition for a role player to come back than it is for a star player. Because the issue that I had yesterday, Chaz, was, are they going to force feed him? Are they going to try to force feed him the ball in order to try to get him going so he can get himself into a rhythm? But it didn't really happen that way. It was business as usual. They struggled in the first half defensively. Keontae George was carving them up like an early Thanksgiving turkey. Second half, Marcus Smart and a couple of other Laker defenders started really cracking down him. But as far as LeBron went, he was in a nice flow yesterday. I got to say, he was looking to pass. He was out there, had a natural chemistry with DeAndre. Second time in DeAndre's life that he got a pass, alley-oop pass, lob thrown to him from LeBron James. Larray looked really good off the bench. It was solid. It was just a really good win, especially in that second half when they finally started playing some defense. And, look, we know LeBron, Luka, and Reeves are going to make an impact every single night. They may not have the fancy stats, but they're going to find ways to make plays for their teammates, make plays for themselves, knock down open shots. And what you saw yesterday was a continuation, offensively anyway, of a lot of things that they're doing for nearly the first month of the season. So it was good to see that LeBron didn't really disrupt that. Now, is there going to be a timing issue, a rhythm issue still where the chemistry is got to be worked out? Absolutely. It's LeBron James. You still have to, find a way to and everything like that. But the one thing I will say yesterday is he did force the action. He deferred. And he took advantage of his opportunities. And I think that is going to be huge if this team's going to make any sort of run in the Western Conference, is how LeBron fits in on some nights instead of trying to fit out. That's what I think the aspect of the Lakers. That's going to be the turning point.
So he was talking to you.
Go ahead.
So he was talking to you post game when he said, I don't know why anybody would even ask that question. He was talking about people like you, because you're talking about him fitting in like he's had an issue with this in the last 23 seasons plus.
But this is the first time he has missed the first month of a season.
Yeah, absolutely. And he came out and he did his thing just right out the gate, right straight out the G League. You know what I'm saying? So, in my opinion,
Yeah,
I
literally.
this was a non-story in my opinion. LeBron is always going to be like, you don't have to fit in when you're the best player, and this is actually the first time in his career that he's going on the floor and he's not really the best player, but he is the best player. He's the most important player. I'll put it to you that way. Um, can the Lakers still
Okay.
win without Luka? I think so. Can the Lakers win without LeBron? I don't think so. So I think he's the most important. And when it comes down to it for LeBron, it really just comes down to the fact that he's just one of those guys that you absolutely need and you just absolutely got to have on the roster in order to push your team over the edge. So he's there. It just depends on how long he's healthy for and how many games he can consecutively put together to push this team over the edge and make it into a top 4 seed. That's really the key. For them, seeds 1 through 4 are all in fair play. It really doesn't matter which one of those seeds you get.
Yeah.
You're probably not getting number 1 because OKC is a fucking wagon. They're just going to mow down everybody series by series, game by game for the rest of they haven't even played J-Dub yet. And they're winning all these games, and that's supposed to be their second best player coming off of an offseason injury or injury that, kind of lingered into the offseason. So for me,
For sure.
I think it spells
but we haven't
nothing
really
but positivity for the Lakers.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And OKC is obviously the best team. Denver's played very, very well. They've improved their depth. They added some good veterans to this team, and David Allen's done a nice job. Houston has done a nice job. So the Lakers, even at 11-4, they're only 4th in the Western Conference, which goes to show you how deep the conference is. And yeah, Oklahoma City, let's be honest, Chaz, last week, they outclassed the Lakers. They outclassed them. And the sad part about that Lakers was the fact that the Lakers were missing LeBron. They were down 3 of their big rotation players: Aaron Wiggins, Lou Dort, and like you said, J-Dub, Jalen Williams, and they were sitting on the Lakers. They doubled them up. They were down 64-32 in the second quarter. So OKC is in a different class right now, and until the fatigue sets in, until the dog days of the season sets in, until, knock on wood, I hope this doesn't happen, additional injuries set in, this is the team that's going to be tough to beat every single night. They are just that, and they're young and they're deep. So they don't need as much as SGA is important to them. They don't need to lean on him every single night. They have other guys capable of stepping up, and that's what we saw. But as far as the Lakers go, the offense is not going to be the concern. There's 2 issues with me, and I've been saying this for a while now. Team defense. The only way they're going to stop anybody is with good, solid team defense. Marcus Smart's a good point of attack defender. Ayton can protect the rim, but they need to play still good team defense. And now with LeBron in the mix, they got to see what that looks like. And 2, I still think they need another good playmaking guard or wing who could knock down open threes, who could initiate offense off the bench. I still think they need one of those, type of piece. And if you could somehow flip Gabe Vincent and or Jared Vanderbilt in order to take later in the season, I think that would really help them on a similar level as the Denvers, the Houstons, and the OKCs.
Let me ask you this. Should Rui Hachimura go to the bench right now?
I think it would help.
Before we even get to trades in trade season, do you think it would help?
Here's the thing.
That's the talk, and I'm just not sold on it all the way just yet.
LeBron? No, I'm not sold on it all the way for this instance. Rui on the bench, fine. Now you have LeBron at the 4, and that could be physically demanding for him. All of these positions that he's able to do, but the 4 spot now, he's playing more in the paint. He's got to deal with more of the bigs, even though the NBA doesn't have a ton of true bigs. I get it, but it could still get physical down there. You know what I mean? And now he's getting a little bit more worn out. And at 40, 2 years old or whatever he is, that's definitely something to watch out for. So yeah, I think it's Rui, but I don't like the fact that now it's like, okay, you bench Rui, you start who? Marcus Smart for defensive purposes on the perimeter. Now LeBron has to play, let's say, guard a guy like Julius Randle the whole night if the team plays Minnesota, and it becomes a little bit more physically demanding. That's what I don't like about it.
Yeah, but the plus side is that you got Marcus Smart as a first point of attack defender, though, starting the game. So situationally,
that's the trade-off. Yeah.
I think situationally you have to, but just on a 9 in and 9 out basis, I think Rui's going to start more than Marcus Smart, even though there's already clamors, 15 games into the season for Marcus Smart to start over Rui Hachimura. So we'll see how it goes, but I do like the fact that the Lakers are off into a solid start to the season, and more than anything, props to JJ Redick and his staff. He really put together a good plan for this team right out the gate. And considering you don't get as much time as you did in training camp as you used to, I'm pretty impressed as well from that standpoint.
For sure. And a cake schedule for this month, so a chance to really stack up some more. They don't mess around and lose focus. I just wanted to point that out. So
cake schedule, you say, huh?
Yeah.
I don't
At Utah,
know if it's
at Utah, Clippers, Dallas, all teams with losing records, and the Pelicans again. So a chance to stack up some wins. I'm just saying, you're not playing the elite of the elite. You're playing sort of bottom-feeding, struggling teams. I'm not saying that these are going to be easy wins. I'm just saying record-wise, you're not playing the best of the best. You're not playing creme de la creme.
Yeah, that 6-game road trip that starts in Toronto, goes through Boston, Philly, Utah, before you come back home. I know, but I look a little bit like after that low is a 6-game road.
And it gets harder. I know.
So
I'm talking about the rest of this month. I'm just focused on November.
Right. I got you. I was just showing you.
Yeah. Chaez is one of those guys that's looking at Christmas time, November 1st. I mean, let's be honest. Right? He's not even finished his Halloween candy, and he's stockpiling it with Christmas candy. That kind of guy. You're looking ahead. Not even at Thanksgiving, brother. I said the rest of this month.
Stockpile that shit. In other news, Chris, like it's a long season. It's a long season, and Steve Kerr has had it with this season being as long. He had some pretty choice words and really gives another reason as to why the season should be shortened from 82 down to either 65 or 70 games. I think I read as low as 62 games in some ideas or examples. Chris, I'm just going to get straight to it. Do you think amid all these injuries with Giannis and Wemby and all the guys that are just out right now, does he have a point with all these injuries?
Let me read off the list for you, by the way. Giannis, Wemby, AD, Kawhi, Embiid, Zion, Ice Tray, Ja, J-Dub, Paulo, Darius Garland, Jalen Green, Brandon Miller, Cam Thomas, Tyler Hero, OG Anunoby, Jaden Ivey, Christian Brown, Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle, Aaron Nesmith, Kelly Oubre, Bradley Beal, Jordan Poole, Keegan Murray, Walker Kessler, and of course, from last year's injuries, Jason Tatum, Tyrese Halliburton, Kyrie Irving, Damian Lillard, Fred VanVleet, and DeJounte Murray. And no, I was not just naming off all the performers at next Grammys. Those are all of the injuries from this year's players and a few from last year. He does have a point. The problem isn't the length of time. I think we're missing the point. I don't think it is the season, Chaez. I think it's the style in which basketball is played is putting more pressure. What's so ironic is Steve Kerr is the wrong messenger because it is his system of pace and space actually orchestrated and architect along with Mike D'Antoni during their time together with the Phoenix Suns that have caused basketball to be in this current state of the speed, the athleticism, the Euro steps, and everything. It has the travel or the back-to-backs. It's all of that and how basketball is played these days. So for Kerr to say that, I understand, it's difficult and the injuries and everything like that. And it sucks for all these players, the blown Achilles, the torn ACLs, the numerous ankle sprains and calf strains and everything like that. But it's still a business and an entertainment product. And these owners who only care about their respective bottom lines are not going to compromise that. aspect of it. They make other arrangements, less than the back-to-backs, which they have, more days off during the All-Star break, which they have, shorter preseason, which they have. So, I mean, it's like, at what point do you have to really, assess the biomechanics, which I think they're going to do, and then try to find a solution that way rather than just say, oh, it's less games. I think that's BS to less games because anyone could get hurt at any time because of how the game is played. Boom.
Yeah, boom, your little mic drop. I mean, I don't disagree. I just feel like the solution that you have to try before you shorten the season is lengthen the season in terms of spreading out the games over a longer period of time. So that way guys aren't as taxed. Get rid of the preseason. I would get rid of the preseason entirely. And I would start the season about 2 weeks earlier. And instead of late to mid to late October, I would start at the beginning of October and just space out the same amount of games so that and just see and just take data from there and then adjust accordingly. But you got to try that before you start taking away games because you have no way to implement or subsidize that money that all of these owners are going to lose, and the players aren't going to lose any more money because they went from a 53 split down to a 47 split in the last 10 years, in the last, few CBA negotiations. So that's not going to happen.
For sure.
So from that perspective, that's my solution.
Everybody loses.
And I think everybody loses in that scenario. Nobody potentially loses in my suggested scenario in moving up the season. Yes, it makes for a longer amount of time, but actually not because you're getting rid of the preseason and it's time that you'd be traveling and going to Vegas and Ontario and places for fans to see you, Anaheim, that, you're traveling to that you don't really need to. So if you get rid of those games, you could have some more days in between the real games that will pay off in January and February and early March as you get into the dog days of the season around post and pre-All-Star break.
For sure. And not to mention, Chaz, these teams aren't even practicing much during the regular season anymore. They're not even practicing, dude.
Right. So training camp is 3 days.
Right. Exactly. So for
and media day is Monday and first game is Friday or preseason game.
Exactly. So it's the league has made the necessary arrangements, but what these guys still fail to understand is that there is still an entertainment aspect of it. Now, I understand player safety is number one, of course, but you're already you're already kind of green lighting lower load management, which is already upsetting fans as it is. You're already in the middle of this huge gambling scandal with Chauncey Billups and Damian Jones in the middle of it, and Terry Rozier, who some of these guys' careers, well, I mean, Jones wasn't really in the league at this point, but Billups and Rozier's careers, depending on how all this comes out, I mean, they could also end up, without a job. And they could be, banned by the NBA. So, I mean, look, there's just a lot of moving components on this aspect of it. And instead of saying we need less games, when you're already looked at as prima donnas and soft as it is, it just makes you look even worse. And still, no guarantees that that's going to limit the injuries as it is. You know what I'm saying? That I think all of this goes back to the style of play. Your idea is definitely worth a shot. Moving out that's what happens with preseason, Chaz. Revenue. There's still revenue for that. So, and I don't know if these teams even really want to cough that up.
They don't even want to cough that up. And I get it. Rightfully so, based on today's market and everything that's going down because of the economy and things like that. They're trying to, maximize profits as much as possible, which I get it. That's what a corporation does. That's what some of these teams are, and that's what the league is.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. It sucks with these injuries. I totally understand that, but they've got to find another way. Maybe the players have to change their off-season training as well. Play different sports, more strength and conditioning in the lower body and the calf and everything like that. I mean, I really don't know what the answer is, but they've got to find one, but I don't think it's less. I really don't think it's less because we've seen guys, we saw Gordon Hayward basically end his career, his tick in Cleveland. Remember that? The 2017, 2018 season or whenever that was. Was that because he was playing all the games? No, he got hurt on opening night. I mean, sometimes bad things just happen. Fortunately, it stinks, but it happens.
Yeah. No, it definitely does. Well, I'll ask you this, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Based on all these injuries, every team has to deal with some sort of injury, right? So,
Of
but there are
course.
some teams that are impressing a little bit more than others, and one of those teams are the Detroit Pistons. And I got to get your take on their 11-game winning streak. They have guys in, guys out, whatever the case may be, and they just seem to be trucking along. And here's a look at the standings. Detroit, number 1 at 13-2. Raptors, 10-5. Cleveland, New York.
Wow.
This is your year, Cleveland, New York, especially New York.
Yep.
Who's down to Dallas?
Yep, for sure.
We're actually up to Dallas by only 2 through 3 quarters, just about. New York, this is supposed to be your year, and you got Detroit with only 2 losses through 15 games. Chris, are the Detroit Pistons the real deal, and are they a real contender, or is this going to be just another one of those years like the Atlanta Hawks with Paul Millsap winning all those games, 60-plus games, and running into LeBron James year after year, or the Toronto Raptors also running into LeBron James? Are the New York Knicks just going to take out the Pistons yet again this year?
Well, first of all, let me answer a question with the question. How much is Jazz loving this right now for the Detroit Pistons?
Phenomenal. They love it. You mean?
Okay. I had to get personal there just for a sec because I know about her Detroit roots. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Yeah, the Pistons have been they are building on what they did last year. They are just seriously building last year. Shout out to Trajan Langdon, who former Pelicans GM, has taken over, has done a tremendous job. But once again, they have trusted their process. They have trusted their draft picks. They struck out with Monty Williams, but add JB Bickerstaff, he's turned out to be the right guy for that team. Cade Cunningham has been absolutely tremendous. Look at Jalen Duren. Look at some of the, Chaz, and I said this last year, the veterans that they added to supplement the young core was smart. That is a winning basketball right there. That is a winning basketball formula. We have 3 or 4 good, solid young guys. Let's supplement it with vets who've been there, who've done that, who know who they are, and are not going to disrupt these young players' progression and their development, but are going to help them get to that next level. The Tobias Harrises. Now they have Duncan Robinson. Last year they had Dennis Schroeder. I'm sure I'm guys, but they have just done such a nice job finding the right fits for this team. And for an organization, for years we're downtrodden. Years. And we're talking 13, 14 years. This team, since 2009, I think it was like one of their last playoff appearances or one of their, and then they were getting swept those years with Drummond and Blake Griffin. And now they have found a nucleus that has worked. And hopefully it continues to work pending they stay healthy. I don't think they have Jaden Ivey back yet. And they're just finding different ways to win. Holland is stepping up. They're doing the right things, man. For an organization that got it so wrong for so long in so many different directions, they finally found something that I don't know if this is going to last all year, but I'll tell you this. I don't see a precipitous drop off. If they're not going to finish at 1, but 3 or 4, they're going to be a tough out in that first round. Believe me, ask the New York Knicks last year in that first round matchup. They gave them all they could handle, 6 games.
They're going to be a top 3 seed in the East, regardless of who makes it there. I think the Knicks and the Cavs will eventually get there, but we'll see because guys are in and out of the lineup. Guys are hurt, like we're all talking about. Everybody's hurt, but somehow the Detroit Pistons have won 11 straight. They're contenders. They could very well beat anybody in the East. And it's funny how easier things get when you just hit on your number 1 pick, right? Mm-hmm. Like when you get somebody like Cade Cunningham, everything just falls into place in terms of who he needs to play with, play around, and play under. And you finally got the right guys, and it's taken some time. Yeah. And honestly, in my opinion, I mean, I don't want to say it's bad for Joe Dumars, but it's not a great look. Even though he had success with those early Pistons teams, early 2000, um,
Right.
I don't think that giving Monty Williams the money that he did. Now, I think you picked the right guy, but it just wasn't the right fit for whatever reason. But you finally get somebody like Cade Cunningham in, and things just fall into place. Jalen Duren has finally come into his own this season. It's taken, 5 years to get here, but it's been well worth it because now you got guys around Cade Cunningham and they're just blossoming. So the Detroit Pistons are the
Yeah.
real deal. Can they get to the finals? I don't think so, but I do think they can make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and beat one of these teams, whether it be the Cavs or the Knicks. Well, actually, I don't think they could beat the Knicks. If they get anybody else in the first or second round, they could beat them. If they can avoid the Knicks, they could very well be in the Eastern Conference Finals with them. That's what I think.
For sure. And with the excess of young guys that they have, if they can go out and maybe get one more piece, like a top end piece, maybe somebody on a expiring contract or something, I think that's when you'll see them kind of take off to another level. But right now, with Duren, remember Jalen Duren was in so many trade rumors. Everyone thought the Lakers were going to try to land him, but he look at his game this year. He had a stat one night where he had 30 plus points, 10 plus rebounds, and shot over 90%. It was the first such stat line since Dwight Howard did it with the Orlando Magic back in 2010. So, I mean, they are just away, and they showed, at least through the first month of the season, they're showing that last year was no fluke, that we're the real deal. And they're probably saying, Chaez and Chris, you guys are New York and Cleveland and all these other teams. Why not us? Don't forget, we were a top 6 team last year. Why can't we move up and put our names next to those guys? So I would not sleep on them at New York has been all right. Cleveland's been all right. But this team, because those other 2 teams cannot be trusted as far as, they're so seasoned, they're so experienced, they've been there, they've done that. Because they don't have enough of the cachet, I think the East is wide open. And I think Detroit, the why not us mentality, similar to what they had in the early to mid 2000s with Billups and Hamilton, Prince, and the Wall others.
Well, I'll tell you this, regardless of all that, the NBA champion is coming out of the West this year. I can guarantee you that. You might as well put that bet down right now. Whoever it is, whether it's the pick that I had in the Nuggets or the Rockets who may come along late, whether it's the wild card Luka Lakers or Anthony Edwards Wolves, or even if you got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and that wagon in OKC, one of those 5 teams is winning the championship. It's not even it's talk about wide open. It's not wide open. One of those 5 teams is winning the championship. Nobody in the East is winning the championship this year. You can book that. You might as well put it on a little sticky note. You might as well hang it right here. So that way, every time we have a show for every week this year, we just reference who you got, one of these 5 teams. And one of them that I picked was the Denver Nuggets. I forgot who your pick was.
No, it was Denver. Remember, we matched. We both had Denver coming out, but But I said don't sleep on OKC and don't sleep on Houston, and obviously not sleep on the Lake Show, man.
How can you sleep on OKC? They're a wagon.
No, but I said that going season. I didn't know how they were going to look. I figured that they're going to be the odds-on favorite, but we don't know how it looks. That's the thing. You would think a young team is going to naturally have a little bit of a letdown, similar to a veteran team, because of the arrogance and everything. But so far, they have been locked in and focused as if they're trying to win their first championship. So, definitely keep an eye out on the Thunder. Of course, the Rockets are looking really good, and if they address that guard situation, like if they were to trade for Drew Holiday, Chaez. Ooh, man. Now things really get interesting in the Western Conference. Yeah.
Ooh, man. Well, I'll put it to you this way, Chris. Ooh, man is right for Draymond Green. He just seems to keep getting into stuff. And luckily, he came out unscathed on this with just a warning. But Chris, I'm going to play this for you. What do you make of the situation here with Draymond Green getting into it with the fan? Now, Draymond eventually says that he kept calling him a woman, And I thought at first he was literally calling him like woman, but he was calling him Angel Reese is what he was calling him. And I'm not sure why. And I'll be honest, I'm not really sure why Draymond took exception to it, because you've been called way worse than that
A lot worse.
on a
Yeah.
consistent basis. So I'm just,
Yeah.
Chris, what do you make of this entire setup? And is this something that should be
What the
looked
hell
at? And did Draymond deserve the warning as well as the fan? The fan gets talked to right here as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. First of all, what took security so damn long? I mean, I could, not to sound like a jerk, but were they on a lunch break or something? While this was going down, they should have stepped up right away, even if it's not getting physical. And it seemed like a tense but somewhat calm conversation, as far as they weren't like nose to nose completely. Like, what took them so long? Anyways, look, player safety is number one. And, fans have gotten more boisterous. We've seen a lot more of these incidents through the years. And with Draymond, I think both sides deserve a warning, and Draymond gets one based on his history, based on, how he's behaved on the court in years past, Rudy Gobert in the headlock, punching LeBron in the nuts. I mean,
Rudy Gobert in the headlock.
Yeah. I mean, it list goes on. And I love Draymond. I love what how he plays and what he's represented for the Golden State Warriors. But it's like, dude, you're getting into clown territory right now at this late stage in your career. Ease up a little bit. I could understand a little back and forth with the fan, but going nose to nose, don't validate them with that, dude. They ain't worth it. You're here. You know what I mean? Everyone else is here. As far as that goes. So don't get rabbit ears or anything like that. We used to say the same thing about Boogie Cousins. Like, dude, what are you doing, man? Let it go. Now, if the guy was saying a racial epithet, or he starts saying something, really ugly, really disgraceful, okay, now that needs to be addressed. But if he's just saying like, oh, hey, you play like Angel Reese, ha, 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 like, that's stupid. But dude, like, what, like, but that's Chaez. Part of what
exactly. I was just about to say that Draymond is not a man that can. He can't do that. Yeah. That is not.
No, of course.
The type
That's
of
not
man
who
that Draymond is. So
yeah.
But I don't think it was deserved in terms of the warning, because, I mean,
I think it's because he got that close to the fan. That's what it is.
I mean,
you're teetering. Yeah.
I mean, well, obviously, but at the end of the day, we've seen players get into it with fans and not get warnings like that, through a letter or, but luckily he didn't get a fine or anything, because nothing actually really happened from either side.
Sure,
the guy got a warning, Draymond got a warning, but I just wanted to point out that I didn't think that it was necessarily deserved. But I'm telling you right now, before 2026 is over, Chris, there's going to be a Draymond something.
I would say
whether it be a flagrant foul or a major ejection or getting into it with the fan or saying some wild shit post game, there's going to be something.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, I would say probably another incident. I don't know about with the fan, but yeah, there'll probably be another on-court incident. Hell, in the same week, he got into it with the fan, and he got into it with Victor Wembanyama too. So, I mean, but that's, once again, that is Draymond. He is a modern day Dennis Rodman.
Wemby. That was crazy.
Yeah, Wemby smashed on him. I mean, but Draymond, what I always respect with him is there's never a back down aspect of it. But in his history, like you said, you may say the warning was not, should not have been issued. Maybe you're right, because nothing really escalated. I hear you on that. But you don't have the ground to stand on when you have the history of Draymond Green. So you don't get that leeway. Quite the opposite. Well, I didn't do anything. Doesn't matter. Your reputation precedes you. Congratulations. So something where, if that was, let's say, Steph Curry, Chaez, Steph Curry doesn't get a warning. Zion probably doesn't get a warning. Herbert Jones doesn't get a warning. Gary Payton second, Podziemski. I think the only other guy that may get a warning might be Jimmy Butler. Maybe. But I don't even think Jimmy's reputation is that bad. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's not. But we'll see. There's going to be something that comes out.
Oh, for sure. There always is with Draymond. That's why we love having him in the league. We'd get bored if everybody was like, "Oh, shucks, nice guys. Oh man, praise God." And nothing wrong with praising God, but it feels like everyone says my point is everyone says the same thing. Let's take it one game at a time. And, I'm just trying to win and like that. It's nice having the Draymonds, the Butlers, the outspoken guy. Ron's passive aggressive stuff is something, I mean, it keeps us on our toes.
Nice guy, he says. All right.
Hey, I'm an aw shucks nice guy, and I'm saying I don't like that, when hearing an athlete talk, post game and all of that stuff. Draymond's interesting. Like him or hate him, he's interesting.
Yeah, pushes it forward, no doubt. Well, let's get into some picks, Chris. It's been a few weeks since I've given out some good shit, and I got some good stuff, I think, coming up this week. This is all NFL, get picks or die trying. I'm just going to post them all up, and I'll go one by one. Chris, tell me what you think. Buffalo. The line has already moved past 5. It's at 5.5. I took it at 3.5. That's what we call positive CLV, closing line value. I like the Bills this week on the road. I believe they're on the road against. Help me out.
The Bills. Hold on. The Bills are on the road. That's tomorrow night. That's at Houston against Davis Mills and the Houston Texans.
Exactly. So take the points, lay them 3.5. I don't know if I would lay them at 5.5, but I love it at 3.5, and that's what I got on. So if you can get 3.5 and buy some points, I highly recommend it. The Chiefs. Time to start fading the Chiefs, guys. Even if they win this game against the Indianapolis Colts, it will not be by more than a field goal at home, and that's why I'm taking the hook at plus 3.5 in Indianapolis in Arrowhead Stadium against Patrick Mahomes. Man, the one thing that came out to me that stuck out was, Andy Reid out of a bye looking like that against the Broncos. Either the Broncos are that good or the Chiefs have lost some of their mojo, or a little bit of both. Either way, take the points with the Colts. And lastly, actually, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. No, I forgot you had one more. Go ahead. Lions.
Last one. Lions and Giants. Detroit going to be pissed off. Dan Campbell pissed off going over 5 on 4th down. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jared Goff can't get on the right page. All is right when you're back in that dome in Detroit. Like the line at 9.5. It's moved up to 10.5 now. I took it at 9.5. I'm feeling pretty good about another positive CLV bet for the Lions. Chris, I think I should parlay these, to be truly honest with you, all 3 of them, which would give me definitely great odds. What do you think about one by one? Buffalo?
Yeah, I think, in my Pick'em league, Buffalo's favored by 6. So that, which I think they have the opportunity of covering. Texans got a pretty good defense. I always like D'Amico Ryans, but the Texans they've obviously really struggled this season. No CJ Stroud. I like the Buffalo pick. I think that's solid. I think that's very doable. The Colts game, what version of the Chiefs are we going to get? That's going to determine this game. And I think if it's a shootout, it favors the Colts, to be quite honest with you. I don't know what's going on with the Chiefs, to be quite honest, but I just think not having it right now. I know Pacheco's down, but they just look like they stall so much offensively, which is odd because you have Rice, you have Worthy, you still have Juju Smith, Kelsey had a big game. You got Noah Gray who's capable of making plays. Why is this offense stalling so much? That's the thing. I really don't get it. I mean, give Vance and the Denver Broncos defense credit for a really good game plan for holding that offense in check, but they just have not found ways to win, which was the exact opposite of them last year. So I like the Colts pick. Lions, I'm always a little scared of these steep lines. In my league, it's 11 points for the Lions. So I definitely think they win. We'll see what Jameson does. But yeah, that has makings of like a 31-7 kind of a game. Giants are a mess. They're going to probably be in full on tank mode. Difficult season after losing Neighbors and now losing Jackson Dart. So yeah, it's always something with the New York Football Giants and a fired head coach in Brian Daboll. One more game that I'm interested, or 2 more games, I should say. The Sunday night game in LA, Rams Bucks 6.5. I am that one. I think the Rams are going to find a way to win, but the Bucks with Baker scares the hell out of me. His ability to run and gun, and they're coming off kind of a weird game where basically Baker Mayfield's on-field boyfriend, which is a term that I use for a quarterback who targets a specific player on offense, was Sean Tucker. So I wonder if he's going to spread it around a little bit more to the Tez Johnsons and Sterling Shepards and Kate Ottens and whatnot. But that's going to be a nice test there for the Rams. That is going to be a tricky game because Todd Bowles is also a very good defensive-minded coach, and you wonder if they're going to put some pressure on Matthew Stafford. One more game I'm going to go with Panthers-Niners. Carolina, dude, they are a solid squad, and they just had a gutsy win on the road in Atlanta this past week. Frisco looked good with Brock Purdy back in Arizona, so I think this will be a test. Well, you beat up on Arizona, a team that is going nowhere. What are you going to do for a team that is on the playoff bubble in Carolina? So I think that's going to be a good test for Purdy and the Niners and that defense to see if they could duplicate what they just did on both sides of the football in Arizona and do it against a pretty good Carolina team. So that's going to be a good game. That game is at 7, dude. What do you think about that one? Niners.
Are you taking or laying?
I am going to take the Niners to win, but I think the points. I'm gonna go the points on that. 7 points, man. Just I don't know. Bryce Young coming off a big win, but they don't always look good on the road, those guys. But it's tricky. That NFC South is tricky. You just don't know what version of these teams you're going to get every week, Chaez.
Ironic that both your picks are +7 underdogs.
Yeah.
With Tampa and Carolina.
And on the road, too.
NFC South having a rough go. My guess is one of those, you split the baby on your 2 picks. One of those will hit, one of those won't. And if I'm going to take a guess, Carolina doesn't play great 2 weeks in a row. They're due for a letdown. So I'd probably take the points or lay the points with the Niners.
And so for two teams trying to get into the wild card aspect or staying in the hunt, these are big games, and Frisco's found a way to win some ball games now. And now that they got Kittle back, they got Purdy back, we'll see with them. I know, they had a tough loss to the Rams, but that team just finds ways to win. So does Carolina, but at home Monday night, we'll see what Bryce Young and them can do. But either way, man, they're fine. I mean, who had them as the second place team in the NFC South this year behind Tampa?
Nobody. Well, it should have been Atlanta, but that Rams pick is getting better and better every day. We don't wish bad on anybody. With Michael Penix Jr. having ACL surgery, but man, the Rams' luck couldn't have gotten any better in terms of getting a pick. And if it falls in the top 8, like it's trending toward, they'll get a pick for the price of what they paid for it 3 times. It'll be worth 3 times the amount by the time they actually make the pick. So just great news all around for the Rams in terms of not Michael Penix, but where the team is trending at, I think, a 3-7 record currently.
And you know what's funny? Les Snead went from F them picks to I'm going to F you in your pick. Oh, man. Hey, Chaez, I know we're going to wrap up real quick. I don't know if you wanted to get to anything else. I know we talked about this offline. Just a quick shout out to a couple of legends in their respective fields that were lost during our little hiatus the last few weeks. Lenny Wilkins, former NBA Coach of the Year, a 3-time Hall of Famer. He got in as a player, as a coach, and as a member of the Dream Team, was the assistant coach of the original Dream Team in 92 under Chuck Daly, and then was the head coach of Dream Team 2 in 96, won an NBA championship with the Seattle Sonics in 79. And Chaez, in an era that you and I grew up in the early to mid-90s, he was a winner everywhere he went, whether it be the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Atlanta Hawks, later with Vince Carter, Toronto Raptors. They were always playing in the playoffs and always trying to make that run. Unfortunately, they just kept running into the Jordan wall. What did Lenny mean to you?
Else.
Exactly. And the pride of Brooklyn, dude. I mean, he's one of the great, players ever come out of Brooklyn. What did Lenny mean to you as a basketball fan?
And my dad taught me about him at being the first Black head coach in terms of that won a championship the way that he did in Seattle. Just a mentor for so many generations of not just NBA players, but just basketball players, whether it be high school, college, or NBA. So his legacy lives on. He's one of those pillars of the league. And it's just crazy to see that such important people that built the game up are starting to go away in our lifetime now, like Bill Russell or Jerry West, or obviously we saw Elgin Baylor pass. We're seeing a lot of stars that were really truly starting to, like when Dikembe passed, that was kind of very wild to me. So it just, we're seeing a whole generation of a few generations. Like Lenny Wilkens isn't just like the previous generation, like our dad's generation. He was like our grandfather's generation, honestly, in terms of like because Lenny played. He didn't, by the time he coached, he was already a legendary player for the St. Louis Hawks.
9-time All-Star over St. Louis Hawks, 9-time All-Star in a 15-year career. That's what I'm saying. And he led the league in assists in 1970. So yeah, Lenny was spectacular. And then another legend, but in a different way, of the NFL, Paul Tagliabue, longtime commissioner. I think he spent 17 years as a commissioner of the NFL, was known to kind of get the league through some difficult times. Hurricane Katrina in 06, in 05, 9/11, trying to navigate that in September, which was obviously a turbulent time for our country. People said like the business of football and where it's at with the millions and millions of fans, the billions of dollars that are pumped into it. He was almost kind of like what David Stern was to the NBA. This was somebody who really made an impact in growing the game nationally as well as globally. Not to say he was perfect. The ignoring the concussion issues for as long as he did was definitely a stain on his record. But when you have someone like Adam Silver, the commissioner of NBA, calling him a friend and mentor, you've touched some lives, and not just in football, but somebody outside of that. So I just wanted to point him out as well. Paul Tagliabue, former NFL commissioner, dead at 84. I just didn't know if you had any thoughts on that as well, because I know you're a big football fan.
Another legend that helped grow the league to where it was, where he could pass the baton off to Roger Goodell. Like he was the bridge between Pete Rozelle, a legendary commissioner, not just NFL, but all time. The bridge between Rozelle to now Goodell was Tagliabue. So just an absolute legend in every right. The things that has done for the game lives on and will continue to live on. And just love the way that, like when it's sad when guys like this pass, but it's also a good thing because it shines light on what they were able to accomplish and what their legacy is moving on or living on, in terms of how it affects us, in terms of what we watch on a weekly basis or every other day basis now with the NFL, because they play on three separate days of the week, Thursday, Monday, and Sunday now. So, and that's part of the work that Tagliabue put in, that Roger Goodell, actually came to see existence on.
For sure. And when you mentioned a bridge, that's basically what you are as a commissioner. You are a bridge between the owners and the players. And by the way, no labor stoppages, no CBA disagreements or strikes or lockouts under Tagliabue's tenure as the NFL commissioner. So I just thought it was appropriate we honor both before we wrap up over here. So very poignant words, Chaez. Thank you on that.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you guys tapping in with the Outlet Forum. We are back. We are going to be every Wednesday, 8:00 moving forward for the rest of the season. Tap in. No matter what we got, we will have information for you for the NBA and NFL as it starts to wind down. And I know we haven't talked too much about it since we've been gone over the last 3 weeks, but go Dodgers. Gosh, it just feels so good to be champions still and moving forward. The Dodgers are going into the offseason with a whole bunch of momentum as well. So we'll see if they come back out with Kyle Tucker or anybody else in the winter meetings. So we'll get into all that next month as those meetings start to heat up with the hot stove. But we appreciate you guys tapping in. Chris, anything you want to plug or let them know where to follow you at?
Oh, absolutely. Follow me on Instagram, CCamelo1, on Twitter X or whatever, at Chris_Camelo, and follow us at the Outlet Forum on YouTube, IG, Twitter, and Facebook. So good stuff tonight, partner.
You guys already know. We'll see you guys next week.